We've got over 500 functions that the liver does, but also to talk about some of those neural pathways and stuff from the outside of the bowel that go off to other organ areas and send messages. And so you go across the transverse colon, and a lot that goes on there can affect your brain. It's a nerve supply flow back to the brain. So we'll get into that. It's very interesting. It's wonderful. The body is amazing. It's just amazing. So the other curve after that transverse colon, once you get over onto the left side of the center of the body, you pass that center of the body and you move on to the left, makes another curve going downward, and that's called the splenic flexure. And our spleen is on the left side. And then that moves downward. So you'll follow and trace that down to your hip, like you're going to your hip. And that's the descending colon. And this is where food starts to solidify. And then there's the last curve of the large intestine is called the sigmoid flexure. And then from the sigmoid flexure, it leads into the sigmoid colon. And a lot of times that's the storage area of the colon. And a lot of times when people have colon cancer, that's the area where it's at. It's in the storage area.
So now, all right, so from how far have we traveled now?
5 feet.
5 feet from the small intestines to
the large intestine.
Okay.
It's 5 feet.
5 feet.
5 feet. And so with that sigmoid area, that's why, it's really important to teach your children really good bowel habits. Because what happens once they get in school and the teacher says, no, you can't go to the bathroom, they'll learn to hold it.
True.
And by learning to hold it and not to, be able to go in and take care of business quickly enough, it trains that to be real lazy. And it's an area where I've seen x-rays where the distension of the sigmoid colon will blow your mind. It's like, you've got to be kidding. You can hold an excess of 30 pounds of waste matter in the large intestine. So it's really important to do colon cleanses. It's really important to do some detox and, to make sure you got enough fiber in your diet. 35 grams of fiber. It's easy to do with slippery elm and some psyllium husks. Add that, get that fiber into your diet. Stir it into, if you're juicing, put that in your juicing. That fiber, it slows that transit time down so that, you pull all those nutrients out of your food. But what that fiber also does is it softens everything on the wall of the large intestine once it gets into that point into the large intestine and works as a bulking agent. It holds water. And so that softens everything that's building up on the walls in the large intestine, helps to soften that and attach to it and help to pull that out so that you cleanse the wall of the large intestine. Because of there's over 80 different chemicals, toxins, that are the end metabolic breakdown from the small intestine into the large intestine.
Wow.
And you don't want that through the villi of the large intestine being carried off to affect nerve supply flow and interfere with nerve supply flow to other organ areas. You don't want that absorption of those toxins on the wall of the large intestine. That's where leaky gut comes in, where there's a breakdown of the actual fiber, of the strength of the muscle of the large intestine. And what happens is these toxins, from so many toxins for so long being there, that it starts to break that tissue down, and you get an absorption through the wall of the intestine that can affect the outer areas of the bowel area. And that's called auto-intoxication. And I had mentioned to you earlier, it was like the situation with John Wayne. John Wayne, he ended up having a tumor removed from his lung, and if I recall correctly, that they removed part of his lung, and they took this tumor. But shortly after that, they found a tumor in his bowel. And the tumor in the bowel was located in an area that the nerve reflex from the outer wall of the bowel, was the nerve supply flow to that lung.
Wow.
So from a natural healing standpoint, is what came first was the tumor in the bowel. What came second was the tumor in the lung. The tumor in the bowel needed to be removed first, so that would then stop the toxins, the poisons, the interfering of the nerve supply flow to that lung area would stop. It would stop.
Right.
And once that would have been taken care of, the tumor in the lung may have started to die on its own, because its source of toxins was now cut off and gone.
Right.
It was not being, these toxins were not invading that particular area of the body. So
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, but okay. So the storage area is the sigmoid, and it's S. It has an S-shaped curve to it. It's the storage for elimination. The lower curve going from the rectum bends towards the left, and this is why when little kids or people who are dealing with liver issues, or you hear about people doing coffee enemas.
Really?
Yeah. Coffee enemas.
Wow, never heard of that.
You do it on the left side. You have them always lay on the left side of the body. So if they lay on the left, it comes in into the rectum. It makes its way around that sigmoid area, and it can get itself into that descending colon area.
But only if they have their appendix.
Yeah, only if you have your appendix. Yes, otherwise you do not want one. But the coffee enemas, a lot of times, you'll read about people who, do them for liver cancer and stuff like that. And,
right.
Well, it's actually it's very effective. But this is where we tend to be a country of, hey, if it's good to do them once every 2 weeks, oh gosh, they'd be really good to do a couple times a week. Well, no, it's not. Because what happens is when you do the coffee enema, what it does is the caffeine in it triggers the liver to dump and spill toxins that it's holding on to. And so that's the purpose of a coffee enema. But like I said, we're kind of a society, if one's good, 2, 3, 5, 10, 20's better.
It makes sense. And it does make sense.
But if you do this a couple times a week, the liver does over 500 functions, and it's a main nutrient storage organ. So with this stimulation that the caffeine creates through that portal artery and triggers the liver to dump, you don't want the liver dumping your storage organ as well. You need to hold on to those nutrients.
Right.
So, a high colonic coffee enema once every 2 weeks is extremely beneficial for cleansing the gallbladder, the liver, to get the liver to spill and dump those toxins. So, colonic therapists, unfortunately, now, like Colorado is a state that a colonic therapist is not able to do a coffee enema. They're only able to do high colonics with water.
Right.
But they do use, purified water. They do abdominal, deep massage. They do have you make sure that you have 35 grams of fiber in your diet, and you do that for a couple of weeks, so that when you come in, that a lot of waste that's built up on the wall of the large intestine will dislodge and come out. And there are some very interesting things that have come out of people's bodies that deal with degenerative disease. Another book that people out there listening, you need to get. It's called Tissue Cleansing Through Bowel Management. And that's a book that was written by my teacher and mentor, Dr. Bernard Jensen. And it is incredible. The American Cancer Society tried to sue him over this book.
Really?
Yes, they did.
Wow.
And he wrote this back in 1981.
Okay, so
It's Tissue Cleansing Through Bowel Management by by Bernard Jensen, DC, nutritionist. And I'm going to tell you, you can find that on Amazon as well. You might even be able to find it on their website, bernardjensen.com.
Okay.
Or INT, Bernard Jensen INT for international. It is, like I said, it is incredible what comes out of the body. And the medical field did try to sue Dr. Jensen by saying that, this was these pictures that he had in his book of what came out of people was not real.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, so I just showed Rick and I one of these pictures.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. And
Well, that doesn't surprise me none. I mean, wow.
you need to get the book. It's not an expensive book. It's probably cost you $10. I mean, there's parasites, there's ropes, there's just all kinds of really unmentionable things. And
Now,
in
this
book,
stuff is coming out alive, people?
Yes. Yes. It didn't come out of dead people.
Right,
It wasn't part of that stuff of weighing and going, okay, bowel weighs 45 pounds. If it was coming out in an autopsy, they would just lay the intestinal track out and then, just open it up. This is literally stuff that has come out of people through high colonics. So this is the benefit of going to a colonic therapist.
Very interesting.
And there's some pretty sophisticated,
Disturbing, but interesting.
very sophisticated equipment that they have. And go to a reputable one. They're very conscientious about sanitation and cleanliness.
Well, I mean, it really is a good idea anyways. I mean, we're so bombarded with different crap, I mean.
Literally.
I mean, you really should do your body
oh, yeah, that's like really a spring cleaning, and it's, hey, and you know what? It's just the anatomy. It's like, it's... People, it's just like, going to the doctor, going to a colonic therapist. It's like, you don't need to be embarrassed. They don't really care.
Right.
You know,
well,
they're not.
It's like changing your oil. You know, you need your oil changed every now and then, and
that's right.
You know,
sometimes
you need some parts cleaned, and you know,
and you got to do. You know, you got to flush your radiator.